I've always hated the attic in my parents' house. Not because it was dark or dusty like most attics, but because of how quiet it was up there. The kind of quiet that felt heavy, like the air itself didn't want to move. The attic stretched across almost the entire house. My dad had finished part of it years ago with old wooden boards for flooring, but the rest was still insulation and exposed beams. It was big enough that once you were in the middle of it, you couldn't see either end clearly. The light bulb hanging from the center barely reached the corners. Growing up, we only went up there a few times a year to store things. Old clothes, broken appliances, boxes of photos nobody wanted to sort through. It was basically a graveyard for forgotten stuff. I avoided it whenever I could. The first weird thing happened last winter. I had gone up there to grab a box of Christmas decorations. I remember climbing the ladder, pulling the string to turn on the light, and looking around like I always did, just making sure nothing had changed. But something had. One of the boxes near the center of the attic was open. At first, I didn't think much of it. Boxes shift around, lids fall off, but this one had been taped shut when I put it there months earlier. The tape was gone. Inside were old family photo albums, except they weren't stacked the way I left them. Someone had clearly been flipping through them. Pages were bent, one album was left open. Right to a photo of me. I remember standing there staring at that photo for way too long. It was a picture of me when I was maybe 8 years old, sitting in the backyard with my dog. There was nothing strange about the photo itself. It was just the fact that it was open, like someone had been looking at it. I brushed it off, told myself maybe my mom had been up there looking for something and forgot to close the box. But when I asked her later, she said she hadn't been in the attic in months. A few days passed and I forgot about it. Until the noises started. Late one night, I was lying in bed scrolling on my phone when I heard a soft creak above me. My bedroom was directly below the attic. At first, I assumed it was the house settling. Old houses make noises all the time. But then I heard it again. A slow step. Then another. Not random creaks. Footsteps. I sat up in bed listening, trying to convince myself I was imagining it. The steps moved slowly across the ceiling. Then they stopped, right above my bed. I didn't move for a long time. Eventually, I forced myself to get up and check the attic. I grabbed my phone, climbed the ladder, and pushed the hatch open. The attic was empty. Nothing moved. Nothing looked disturbed. But something felt off. The light bulb was already on. I was absolutely certain I hadn't turned it on. I checked the corners, the boxes, every part of the attic. Nothing was there. So I went back downstairs and tried to forget about it. But the footsteps didn't stop. For the next week, I heard them almost every night, slow pacing above my ceiling, always stopping in the same spot, right above where I slept. One night, I decided I'd had enough. When the footsteps started again, I climbed the ladder as quietly as I could. I didn't turn the light on this time. The attic was completely dark, except for the faint glow from my phone screen. And that's when I saw it. Someone was standing near the far wall. At first I thought it was a stack of boxes, but then it moved slightly, just enough for me to realize it was a person. A tall silhouette standing perfectly still between the beams. I froze. My phone light trembled in my hand, and then the figure slowly tilted its head towards me. I slammed the attic hatch shut and ran downstairs faster than I ever have in my life. The police searched the entire house later that night. They checked the attic, the crawl spaces, even the backyard. They found nothing. No footprints, no signs anyone had been there. But here's the part that still keeps me awake. A few days after that night, I forced myself to go back into the attic during the daytime. Everything looked normal again, except for one thing. The open photo album was back on the floor, still turned to that same picture of me. Only this time, there was a long fingerprint smudged across my face in the photo.